I mean, I'm hoping it does. Oh, I know who's not here. Let me invite this guy. Good evening, viewers, and welcome to the Limit Racing. We're back again with another social race around the historic Silverstone circuit. You've got to put up with my voice again tonight on commentary, but I have a new partner alongside me in Revenge Center this evening. Don't worry, the track hasn't dramatically changed overnight. Drivers will still have to negotiate the 18 corners of this 3.6 mile circuit, and since last night, unfortunately for some drivers, Maggots and Beckett's is still very much prominent and was causing plenty of issues for drivers yesterday. Two DRS zones this evening, one down the Hanger Straight and one down the Wellington Straight to provide plenty of overtaking opportunities tonight. And as you can see on stream right now. It is a wet qualifying session. Good evening, Revengezilla. Thank you for joining me this evening and filling in for TJM whilst he is taking a break tonight. And how are you feeling about tonight's race?
Excited, mate. First time on comms in the new TTL league, and it looks like a very, very competitive Division 2. We do have a couple of drivers fitting in from Division 1 tonight, but 90% of the grid here are Division 2, and it looks like it's going to be very close.
Fingers crossed. Indeed, it is going to be close. We saw some of these drivers yesterday, and they're all taking the time to come out of the pits early on in this session. Perhaps it is going to dry up before the end then, and we could see some dry times later on. Just making sure everything's working on the stream. There we go.
So it looks like it's not wet enough for the full wet. So it looks like everyone's hovered over the intermediate tyres. So it'll be interesting to see who takes the gamble and tests the track surface first. Looks like Jimmy Dog's going to be the first one to give it a go.
Jimmy Dog will be keen to show what he's made of tonight, as of course yesterday, unfortunately for those of you that watched the race, he was unable really to show what he was made of, as he had early issues in qualifying and the race and joining the session in general, to be honest with you. But as you can see, he is out on track at the moment in the Aston Martin tonight. And as you said, Zilla, with the mix of drivers that we've got in the field tonight, as you mentioned, most of them are Division 2 drivers preliminary for the start of the season, which is next week, of course. And I was just going to touch upon actually Object Fungus retiring in the pit lane, joining him Brookie Min, of course, and those eagle-eyed viewers that know those two drivers will know that they are going to be in Division 1 for the first season, and they're going for a last to first challenge today to see how far they can get up the field.
Yeah, I definitely think them two are head and shoulders above a lot of people in many different leagues across this game, and I think them starting from the back is going to provide a bit of a challenge, and it'll be interesting to see what strategy they bring to the race to sort of work alongside the extra pace they have to see if they can cut through to the front of the field.
Yeah, definitely. Plenty of drivers out there on an outlap at the moment then, so they are keen to get some laps in on this intermediate tyre. Whether or not the session is going to dry up by the end, we have no idea as of yet. Of course, we can't see the weather details on commentary, unfortunately, as it stands, but I'm sure the drivers will be able to give us some indication in the chat on stream as to what the weather is going to do throughout this session. But here's Jimmy Dog then on a lap, and McLaren getting in the way of him coming out onto his lap. I think that was Dark Gopher in the McLaren. And there's a yellow flag out already. I should probably have the track map on. There we go. I think it is for an Alfa Romeo. Towards the end of the lap, it looks like he's cooked the tyres a little bit, trying to get some temperature in them. I've not done much wet weather driving on this game, Zilla. I don't know how much you've done either, but just how tricky is it on this game, coupled with the new handling mechanics, to get used to the wet weather?
Yeah, I think I personally have not done a lot of wet weather running either, but I know even in the dry, a lot of drivers in this game opt for the full traction option on the assists, giving a bit of extra pace in the faster corners, but sacrificing some pace on corner exit. And I know throw the wet weather in there and those corner exits just a little bit more volatile. And we'll be interested to see who sort of makes the gamble to try and gain that extra pace, or which drivers opt for the full traction to see if they can just have a clean race, but sacrificing a bit of that crucial pace that could show in this qualifying session.
Definitely two drivers who have struggled early on, and Jimmy Dog, who we followed round for most of his lap, and LWS Yorkie as well, also invalidating his first run. Of course, the intermediate tyres will run for a little bit longer. They will keep the performance in them more than a slick tyre would, so that's why those drivers going back around again. Jimmy Dog actually has come into the pit lane as it stands, but we have our first time on the board, and it's a 1:38.7 from Ashy, who's driving again tonight. He got involved in some incidents last night, Revenzilla, but do you think he's learnt from those and he's going to look to try and put in a bit of a cleaner race today?
Yeah, I think he was the first one to hold his hands up and admit to a bit of a mistake. I think it was into Cox yesterday, or was it Stowe? I'm not too sure, but he had a bit of a tangle with one of the Division 1 drivers, causing a bit of ag in the Discord, and he's held his hands up, and I'm sure he's going to improve on his driving style tonight. And he did have the pace last night, so if he can keep it clean in the race and accompany that with his pretty solid pace, I'm sure we'll see Ashley, knocking on the door of that, top 5.
Yeah, fingers crossed for him today. And obviously, all of what we know about these drivers that did drive in yesterday's race has been switched up slightly with this wet weather running. To put that into perspective, Bawley has gone top of the timing charts. Royd McJudder coming out of turn 2, very close to putting it in the wall there, but has managed to continue on and looking to not get in the way of other drivers on a lap then, and lives to fight another day.
Yeah, it looks like Mars Bars also had a little bit of trouble on his outlap coming up onto the exit of Stowe. And you can see as he goes to start the lap, his back end is absolutely all over the place, and it's going to cost him maybe a tenth or so down towards turn 1, as he didn't get a good exit on the start of the lap. And you can definitely tell he's on the medium traction as he fights the car into the glove section now. He's really battling the car, and it's just losing time at every corner. And some drivers like the wet weather, and some people like myself absolutely despise it, and it looks like Mars Bar is struggling at the moment.
Struggling indeed, coming down then towards the end of his first sector, 32.0 from him, so about 4 seconds slower than what we were seeing in the dry last night then, but not the worst first sector I think we've seen so far. Likes of Mini and Dargo for struggling on their laps. Mars Bar, though, is backing off on this run as Bawley then goes even faster with a 37.8 then. 7 tenths between him and second place Jolo Master at the moment in P2. So some distance between the top drivers at the moment. Be interesting to see who can challenge Bawley then, as everyone is struggling at the moment. Only 10 times on the board, and really 2 of those not very representative of fast laps at the moment.
Yeah, I want to give a quick shout out to Bawley after his qualifying performance yesterday in the Division 1 race, getting into the top 5. Unfortunately, he did have a bit of an off at turn 1 and ended up retiring as a result. So we didn't get to see whether his quali pace translated into race pace, but I think, he's dusted himself off, and he's back at the top end of the timesheets already.
Yeah, and of course, yesterday we had some issues in terms of the game bugs as well. Fingers crossed, touch wood, we don't have any of that tonight. And hopefully then we will get a clean race, as Hellboy then is about to come over the line to put his first time in of the session. It puts in P9 just ahead of Mini then in a McLaren sandwich. And that is a time of, we'll find out, there we go, a 1:39.9 from him.
Yeah, big shout out to Ashley. We did just talk about him, and he's on the 3rd lap on his tyres with no ERS left. He's managed to improve by 9 tenths, and that just drops him back only 700ths from Bawley now. So that's a very, very solid lap from the AlphaTauri driver. And it's shaping up to be a little bit of a battle between these two. They look like they've got to grips with the conditions earlier than the others.
Yeah, with the 3 fast Division 1 drivers, as we know, Object, Drobel and Brookimian, all not taking part in qualifying, then we will only lose 2 drivers from this opening part of qualifying. Make that now 1, with Tiger Gamer then having difficulties. I think he's dropped it then just off the back of the Hanger Straight. And if we can get on board with the McLaren that's about to come past him, we can see if his car does it. Of course it does. And it's vanished. So there we go. We won't get to see what happened there. I think he just cooked the rears, ended up on the inside wall, and Tiger Gamer then will take no further part in qualifying. P15 at the moment will start no higher than that, but Darth Grey Fox and CTX both still to put laps in, and CTX then coming around through sector 2 now. Let's see if he can keep it on the road. Then coming out of Brooklands, then towards Cops. And this is the corner where we saw plenty of drivers struggling yesterday. A big lift there, as you have to do in these wet conditions. But it does look to me, Revenge, that the rain is slowing ever so slightly from what it was at the start of the session.
Yeah, I just jumped on board with Jimmy Dog round through Maggots and Beckett's, and he looked like he got a little bit more grip that time around. He did invalidate his first run, so this is his second run. He does appear to be lagging just a little bit. Not sure if he looked like that on your screen as he struggles through the Vale chicane. Comes across the line with 39.4, and that's going to be enough for P8 at the moment. Very close to his teammate Viking Beast, as it looks like, as you said, we're only going to lose one driver from this session. So all of these guys do not want to be that one, and there's still 4 yet to set a time.
Well, someone that is struggling at the moment is CTX then in P19. He's dropped it twice on this lap, looking like he wants to cool the tyres down to go again and not pit for a set of new tyres then. Very clever from him then. 7 minutes left to go in this session. Both Mercedes need to put a lap in at the moment then. Darth Grey Fox is now just starting his flying lap there. CTX does put a time on the board. It's 2 minutes 5 seconds with those 2 spins there, but it does for now put him out of the bottom 5 unbelievably. Mars Bar, Tornado and Darth Grey Fox still yet to put a time in. I'm not good on an outlap as well. We haven't seen him race yet in TTL. He does race in other leagues, as we know. Can he get himself into Q2? And will he find these wet conditions more favourable for him, getting well out the way of Ghosts as he drives on the grass then, coming now down the Hanger Straight, warming those tyres up frantically. Obviously, with the physics on this game in terms of tyre temperature and tyre wear, Zilla, obviously these wet tyres, are they even harder to get the temperature in as opposed to the soft tyres, which are hard enough anyway?
Yeah, I think getting heat into wet tyres is always a bit difficult, especially on the outlap and the first hot lap. It seems to be a trend that drivers are able to go quicker on, maybe the third or fourth lap on a set of tyres, just as they, gently try and raise that temperature in the tyre. So, see the likes of Dark Goffer and Jolo Master have set their best times, on a couple of laps off the tyres. I would like to point out that we've seen none of the top runners retire from the session yet, which you normally see from people who set a good Q1 time. And the rain does appear to have stopped, so it'll be interesting to see whether we get onto the soft tyres before the end of the session, because that could really mix things up.
We've got about 5 minutes to go now. I think there we go. We can see just amongst the yellow flags in the top left corner then a few drivers in the pits selecting the soft tyres, and Rudwick Judder did select the soft tyres. He's gone back to the intermediates now. Jimmy Dog selecting the soft tyres. I think LWS Yorkie wanted a bit of a name check on screen. He did temporarily select the wet tyres, but he's back now onto the intermediates too. So will be interesting then, with just a few minutes to go, whether the track does dry up enough. And who do you think here, Zilla, out of those drivers in trouble at the moment, looking towards the end of the timing screens on the left-hand side, who do you think is going to take the gamble then to come out on soft if anyone does?
I think, as Bally just goes across the line, improves by 0.6 of a second, still on intermediate tyres. So there's still time on the intermediates, but I think anyone not in the 1 minute 38 is going to want to gamble onto the softs, as Mars Barger has another spin at turn 2. This time careers towards the inside wall rather than the outside. And I'm sure he's going to jump into the pits for a set of softs, because it's just not working on the intermediates.
Yeah, 4 minutes to go now of this Q1 session. Do you think we'll see it dry up enough? I mean, it doesn't look to be much spray coming off these cars. And the likes of Bawley and Ashley currently 1 and 2 at the moment. Do you think we'll see that much track improvement that even those drivers might consider pitting for a set of the soft tyres?
Yeah, it'd be difficult to say. I mean, we're not too sure at the minute how quickly this track is going to dry up. It looks like it's still very damp on the racing line. Yorkie has taken the decision to gamble and retire. And he's the first one who's sort of on that bubble of, potentially being safe and potentially not. But I think he's confident, looking with other people around, that he only needs to beat one person. So it's not too much of a gamble, but I think then it will be. Well, my question's been answered. Jimmy Dog is out on an outlap and a set of softs.
Yeah, I've just been watching his lap as he comes through Magus and Beckett's now. He's having to take it very, very carefully. I think Jimmy Dog might struggle to get a good timing on those tyres, but the track is definitely improving them. Bawley improves yet again now, a second between himself and Ashy in P2 then. So it looks like the tyres coming to the intermediate runners more than anything. Jimmy Dog is going to try and complete a lap on the soft tyres. There is the only one out there at the moment on the softs. Let's look at the drivers in danger then. Mars Bars has been validated again. I think it must have been through turn 1 then, so he's going to have to try and get back around again and hope he's got enough fuel to get a time on the board. All he has to beat at the minute is a 2 minute and 5 seconds from CTX. Tiger Gamer being out of the session.
Oh, that was a big old off from Mars Bars. It's not his day in the wet. It is not his day.
No, definitely not.
Very interesting place to lose the car, but that means that anyone out on track at the minute can safely go and park up.
Apart from I'm not good.
Other than I'm not good. I'm not good does need to set a time, so we'll keep on board with him, see whether he does realise it.
Yeah,
or
he's
by the look of how he's taking this outlap, it doesn't look like he realised.
He does have to put a time on the board. If he does beat a 2 minute and 5 seconds, though, it would mean that CTX has to put a lap in as well. With the 1 minute 44 of Tiger Gamer, a bit of a red herring there. So CTX would fall below that. So those two drivers then perhaps looking to get a timing still. I think Tiger Gamer, I can see in the Twitch chat, thinks he's through to Q2. Well, you're 15th, but you won't be able to take part as your car was in the wall, unfortunately. So you won't be able to get out for the second part of qualifying. Then Hellboy comes across the line, 1:38.1 from him to go fourth fastest. And there is some improvement in the times here. Mini now choosing to retire 2 and a grid penalty to go with that. Is Mini crashed on track?
We've got a bit of a 3-car pile up here.
We've got some cars spinning around in circles through Maggots and Beckett's.
Mini's ended up retired from it. The Lapio Finn was involved as well.
Yeah. I think I'm not good dropped it as well on his fast lap
as well. Finn is the one that's been given the penalty.
So CTX is now through to the second part of qualifying. I'm not good. He's not going to put a time on the board. And he has continued on for another lap, though. He's caught the orange curve, though, and obviously that bottoms the car out.
He just needs to set a lap.
Needs
to set a lap.
I don't think I'm not good's going to beat a 144 here, or even a 151. As he goes straight on into the wall. That's interesting from I'm not good.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to CTX. He did improve by 13 seconds and is still the slowest time.
Yeah. He has improved though, so he's done enough for now. It is Ashley at the minute though, did improve then to go P1 ahead of Bawley then, who's just left the session, so might need re-inviting then. Mini says he was 7 tenths up on his lap, then crashed into a spun car. And I think it was that, who was it now that got the penalty? The Lapio Finn was the one who got the penalty. I think he'd spun round on a set of soft tyres and it hadn't worked out for him. And it's definitely not worked out for Mini as well then. He's now out of qualifying too. So as it stands, we're only going to get a 13-car second qualifying session. I'm not good saying that he had pedal issues. He's had pedal issues all qualifying. That's why he's not been able to set a lap. So perhaps he needs to look at that before the race and see if he can improve on that. Otherwise, we might ask him to sit this one out if he does have those issues going into the race.
Yeah, I mean, difficult to really judge that qualifying session, to be honest. I mean, you know, the sort of changeable conditions has left us with, I mean, not too many surprises. I was expecting a bit more from I'm Not Good, but, you know, you've just reiterated his pedal issues, so it's understandable. But Ashi, after we talked about wanting to bounce back from sort of difficult race last night, meanwhile, you know, showing some very, very good pace at the front in the wet weather. He won by 3 times ahead of Tornado, who just picked in a 36.6 there at the end.
Yeah, so Tornado then goes P2 with a 36.6, 3-lap old intermediates for him as we wait then for Rudd McJudder to be wheeled back into the garage. Tiger Gamer saying in the Twitch chat then, it's crazy that some drivers are out there on the soft tyres considering how wet the track still is. Some people decided to take that gamble, some people have nothing to lose, but unfortunately the driver that did lose out through no fault of his own, Mini, will not take part in qualifying 2 then. There is your classification for the end of Q1. It is Ashi that takes the fastest time then by 0.3 to Tornado in P2, Jolo Master then in P3, 136.8 from him. Bally just a couple of hundredths behind. Dark Gopher, Hellboy, the Lapio Finn gets that 5-place grid penalty for spinning and taking out Mini, who then is the first of those that will not be taking any further part in qualifying, with Tiger Gamer, Marsbar, I'm Not Good, Object Fungus, Drobel and Brookie Min, with the latter 3 choosing to retire early to do a bit of a challenge tonight, with the rest of the field going from the back of the grid to the front of the grid if they can then. And of course, we'll go to the Twitch
next
chat.
Session will start. We are dry.
Hopefully, it's dry for some of the drivers.
It looks pretty dry.
Quickly. There we go. We've loaded in. It is pretty dry. Hopefully, we'll see some slick tyres. Of course, I'm Not Good saying, dear me, I think this went quite well. We did have a tip actually. We have got the tip jar on screen now. Of course, it helps support the To The Limit Racing website, amongst all the other things that we pay for, including the Discord and things such as that. TJM, our very own Tijum, putting a £3 tip in, and he put the message, nice to be on the stream with you guys, Wagwan, for the second stream tonight. So nice to see you there, Tijum. Hopefully you can join us.
Go to 3/4 of the way of a pint and spoons on Saturday. Well done, mate. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that then, TJM. We've also got some followers as well. Milky Briggs, Marsbar, who's obviously in the race today. And I don't know how to pronounce it. Magnar? I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's the Hungarian.
There we go.
Formula One Magnar League, I think. I don't know. We'll go with that.
What are we on about? What are we on about here?
We got a follower. We got a follower.
Big up whoever you are.
No idea. They're here supporting a Jolo Master though.
Isn't Magyar the name of the Hungarian Grand Prix?
Yeah, I think so. So they're here supporting Jolo Master. We probably butchered that completely. And he's Hungarian, yes.
Big up Formula One Magyar League. If you want to tip 3 go ahead.
Nice to see you here. You'll see in the bottom right corner, apparently if you reach 100 followers, I have to drink milk out of a shoe. And I've got to do that at the end of. I've got to do that at the end of a race, apparently, on stream.
I didn't see that. Okay. Yeah. Right, well, everyone, get your follows in now.
It's around 32 follows at the
100. In the meantime, we do have cars on track.
Let's get back to the action then. The drivers are coming out on the soft tyres.
Let's keep talking. Here we go. Tip jar is in the bottom right, as you can see there, but also, as we've pointed out, I'm not sure if that's how you spell shoey, but we're going to run with it. Diddley. Diddley will do a shoey, and if we get 100 followers It will be displayed on stream at the following Grand Prix.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to go well. Yeah, I think we'll all have to do one.
Looks like Lewis Yorkie is going to be the first, and they are on the soft tyres, Bidley.
They are on the soft tyres, all of them on the soft tyres. Two drivers still in the pit lane, then leaving it late to go out Tornado and Bally, but both of them now emerging onto the track, so shouldn't get in the way of LWS Yorkie, as you quite rightly said, will lead us away with these cars in Q2 and be the first one to put a time in, but he's coming to the pits to go completely against what we were saying there.
Yeah, he's coming back into the works.
It will be the Lapio Finn then, who's carrying that 5-place grid penalty that takes us away. Zilla, if you want to talk us through his lap as he makes his way around.
Who are we on board? The Lapio, here we go. Right. He's already navigated turn 1 and 2. I'll assume he did it nicely. I'm not sure if I just saw a couple of spots of rain on the visor, but we'll ignore it for now. Now, turn 4 is all about getting a good exit because this straight runs all the way down then into Brooklands and Luffield. And he is going to open the DRS for the first time in this qualifying session as it is now dry. Actually, it doesn't look like the DRS has been activated. I'm not too sure why. As there's a few lines you can take through Luffield here. You can take a long sweeping line and get on the power quite early. Or some drivers like to take it nice and tight and shorten the distance of the circuit. Now we've got a long run down the old pit straight towards Cops. You don't stick a wheel up the inside there, but it looks like the Lapio has. It's coming into the Maggots and Beckett section now. The first time in the dry running, so it looks like the drivers might take a couple of laps just to get used to the extra grip they've got. But, you know, pretty nice there from the Haas driver as he comes down now into my favourite corner on the circuit. It's Stowe. Uphill, blind, right-hander. How early does he get on the power? Early indeed. Didn't take up all the exit curve as he comes down now into the Vale chicane. Hugging the left-hander really tight to open up the right-hander as he does nicely. And now a run down to the line is going to give us a 32.3 to start the quali session.
32.3 from the Lapio Finn then to take provisionally the fastest time of this session, and DRS has only just been enabled, believe it or not, so those laps set without the assistance of DRS. Ashy then goes just short of a couple of tenths behind him then as we're waiting for some more time. So it's like drivers struggling with invalidation then on their hot laps. Hellboy now with the time on the board of 34.1, but surely with that DRS being enabled so late, we're going to see faster times than these being set at the moment.
Yeah, I think once you add that DRS in, at times, as you said, they're definitely going to tumble. But it looks like a really good initial representative time there from the Haas driver, who's looked pretty solid in the wet. I know when he joined the server, he was worried that he wasn't going to be quick enough to race against these guys, and he's quickly showing us that, in fact, he does have the pace to fight with some of these drivers. I'm not too sure if he's on a second push lap at the minute. He's not. He's 3 tenths down. So we'll jump on board with Tornado's invalidated this and next lap. That's a nightmare.
Yeah, it is one of the circuits where you can do that, and of course it punishes you because it's such a long lap as well here that you have to take the pain of going around once again and try and coax those tyres into another lap, which of course we know the soft tyre, not the favoured race tyre around here, which probably lends us to talk about strategy, but of course it will depend on safety cars in the main race. We saw most drivers try a one stop from a medium to a hard in the race. Do you think we'll see more of that later on?
I think the hard tyres are really, really strong around here, and everyone's used from the last game that the mediums being the best race tyre at pretty much every circuit, and it's just not the case in this game. They drop off way sooner than you would normally assume. So drivers, there's a split gamble. It's if there's an early safety car, the drivers that get to pit onto the hards have a huge advantage, but conversely, with things like late safety cars, it's definitely good to have the faster tyre at the end. But for longevity and solid pace throughout, the hard tyres are definitely going to be an option for especially some of those Division 1 runners at the back.
Yeah, definitely. They might try and go a little bit longer and get some free track when everybody else decides to make their pit stop. We've been riding on board with Baldy's lap then. He's kept it valid at the very least as he comes across the line now. Looks like it's going to be the quickest time on the board as well, and by some distance, a 29.7 from the Alpine driver to put daylight between himself and the lap Fin in P2 then. And I think you're right about the rain earlier. Having a look now on his onboard camera, there is some spots then on the camera lens. I just wonder if it is going to fall enough by the end of the session to give us a wet Q3.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I would like to think if, because of the rain towards the end of the session, that we will see some of our drivers a bit more urgent to set a lap. As you can see, there's already 4 drivers. With only 7 minutes to go, they're yet to set a lap. Yorkie does go P1 by 8 tenths then, just about getting into the 1 minute 28, and that's set a bit of a benchmark from the Ferrari driver.
Yeah, great time from LWS Yorkie then, as you mentioned, the fastest time so far, and the track clearly ramping up after the wet Q1 then. Here's a TTL legend we're riding on board with. We've only had 2 races, but somehow he's made a name for himself. Viking Beast then, coming down towards Cops in the Aston Martin. Many drivers' favourite in terms of names in the Discord server. And here he is.
Viking Beast, all the way from North America, is here to light up TTL.
He is indeed, and we have people rooting for him as he comes through sector 2. It's a 1:05.5. We know from yesterday, it's about a second off the times we were seeing yesterday, but the track's still a little bit green. Of course, still rubbering in, as you can tell from the times, and taking it carefully through Stolen, coming up to the last couple of corners now then. He's kept it clean. He needs a time on the board here, as you mentioned, 1 of 4, yet to put a time on the timing screen, and he comes across the line, and it is a 1:30.1 then from Viking
This is what
Beast.
he does. This is what he does. He's absolutely stood up in P3. What a hero. Anyway, up there with one of my favourite names in the league, Rudd McJudder, is set a 1:05.3, who's actually on pace to hit the legend Viking Beast. Can he have a decent final sector though? As he comes into Stowe, he kisses the inside apex nicely, and I've jinxed him big time.
You have jinxed him big time then, backwards out of Stowe then. And that, as you mentioned, that would have been enough to get Viking Beast to P3. That hasn't particularly gone very well for him. He might have challenged Bawley for P2 actually, but he is going to go around again.
What is he doing? He's got 13% ERS, but he's going to go again.
That's interesting with 5 minutes left on the clock.
Good to see you, lad.
Yep, plenty of drivers in the pits at the moment. 6 in the pit lane that's still waiting to come out. We've got a few on the outlap as well. Viking Beast looks like he's going to try and push again on a second outlap, then coming through Maggots and Beckett's now. Let's see if he's made an improvement. You can already tell he hasn't from the top right then. But one driver that has is Ashy then, who's just pipped LWS Yorkie into P1. CTX crosses the line with a 32.5, which isn't going to be enough to get him through into Q3. If the likes of Tornado and Jolly Master, who has invalidated on his flying lap and is coming into the pits for a second set of tyres to go around once again. Rudd McJudder is currently 3 tenths down on his lap from last time around, which isn't a surprise considering he's running at 3% ERS then.
Yeah, 3 tenths down, but it's going to soon turn into a big improvement unless he decides to take Stowe backwards.
It's not the optimal line.
Coming out of Maggots and Beckett's now. I'm sure his tyres after 2.5 laps are going to be absolutely knackered. Nonetheless, he's also done this lap without any battery as he understeers massively coming around there. He can't get on the power early because the rear tyres just aren't giving him the grip that he needs. He comes into the Vale chicane. He's aiming for a 1:33.8 to get him into the top 10, and he's going to have to... well, that was impressive anyway. As he said, 30.9, he's going to have to get back into the pits quickly because there is under 4 minutes left of this session. And if he's going to get in and out again, he needs to get a move on, as I see on stream CTX has had a stinker.
Yeah, CTX another victim to Stowe corner, then backwards following Rod Majudder then in his previous antics back into the pits.
That name does me in.
One driver that is on an impressive lap at the moment is Tornado, then a 1:04.0 through the second centre. Is this enough to take the fastest time? It is indeed by some margin as well. A 28.1 for him, then 8 tenths ahead of Ashi in P2 and Yorkie in P3. Then some distance between the top three and Borley, but he's also improving on a lap as well, 7 tenths up as he comes through Cops Corner as well, but he isn't quite done with the most trickiest corner of the track apparently. For some reason, Stowe is the one that all the drivers seem to be struggling with. Not this complex here, Maggots and Beckets. Forget that, it's at the end of the straight, although Rudman Judder is backwards at the end of Maggots once again. And
I don't know if your name's Judd or Rudd or whether that's even part of your name at all. But I'm sorry, Mr. Rudd.
Mr.
I won't bring your name up again. We're gonna assume his surname is Rudd. You know, like John Ruddy.
Yeah, we'll go with John Ruddy.
John Ruddy. That's what we'll call him. Johnny Rudds.
Johnny Rudds. That's ball, he crosses the line. Does take P2, then a 28.3 from Borley then to just go shy of Tornado's 28.1. That should see him through with 2 minutes left on the clock then. Who's in danger and needs to put a time in? CTX is just coming out of the pit lane and he'll need to put in a stonking out lap to get around and have another chance at a time. Dark Gopher as well on and out lap. And Jollo Master then, who's got his fans in the Discord cheering him on, in the Twitch I should say.
Come on the Jollo Master.
Jollo Master then starts his flying lap. And let's ride with him then as he comes down into turn one. And let's see if he can get a clean time on the board then, kissing turn one beautifully there, not running too wide at two either. Comes into turn three, catches the apex rather well. Looks like he's running manual gear, so he's an experienced driver, you could see. In terms of at least his gearing, looks like he's got a bit of the old full traction on there.
He comes into Brooklands now. Notoriously difficult corner. I mean, it's very easy to get sucked in by getting brave on the brakes. But he navigates that section nicely. Does have a little bit of traffic up ahead. I believe it's not traffic, it's Darth Grey Fox on his outlap. So it's going to give him a good marker to chase down as he goes through Maggots and Beckett. He's going to hope not to get too close. It is going to give him a little bit of turbulent air as he seems to be getting closer and closer. And it's interesting to see Darth Grey Fox not pushing anymore. In fact, he is flashing. And he is in 10th place at the minute, so he is vulnerable. As Jollo Master then yet to set a time, but he is coming round Stowe corner now. As you said, it's been difficult for a lot of the drivers in the understeers and it's invalidated. So it's going to be P13 then for Jollo Master. The other driver yet to get a lap, CTX, he's also invalidated. And he's going to look to get out of the way of drivers like Hellboy, who's come across the line and improved by 1.3 seconds. So 29.6. Dark Gopher comes across the line then and he pushes Darth Grey Fox into the bottom three, and that looks like it is said and done because Darth Grey Fox is not on a lap.
Well, Jollo Master did make it to the line in time, so he is on a push lap. He has to beat a 1:31.4 from Jimmy Dog and 5 lap old softs from him. And let's follow his lap then. I think he crossed the line with about 6 seconds on it, and we'll see if he struggles again towards the end of it. Has only got a minuscule amount of battery once again, so that's going to hurt him then down the Hanger Straight, of course, when he's going to need that battery the most, really. Coming up to Cops now, no pressure on his shoulders here, of course, but he does need to get a time in, because otherwise he will not be taking any further part in qualifying. As you've already mentioned, the two Mercedes then, Darth Grey Fox and CTX are both out then. CTX unable to get a time on the board.
I think if Jollo Master gets through the Q2 now, you've got to play the Hungarian national anthem before Q1 starts, or Q3 starts, sorry. Who on earth is that off the track at Stowe? It's one of the Mercedes. He's in the grandstand.
And Jollo Master's kept it clean through Stowe and he hasn't invalidated this time.
Come on, I need to hear that Hungarian national anthem.
A top 10 for Jollo Master then to get through to Q3. His fans cheering him on. And he has done it then. P7 at the death. It didn't look like he had any hope then of getting through to the final part of qualifying, but at the very last time of asking, Jolo Master then, P7 in the house, puts Jimmy Dog down to 11th, joining the two Mercedes then. What a surprise there towards the end. And to the relief then of Formula One Magyar League. Okay.
And Diamond Douchey, he's a big fan of the Jolo Meister, as I've just seen in the... Oh, not Meister, Jolo Master, sorry.
Jolo Meister.
Anyway, get that Hungarian national anthem on. Also, big shout out to Rod McJudder, straight through in P10. Big Johnny Rod.
Yeah, Viking Beast joining them as well. Named legends making it through to the final part of qualifying. There is your qualification then at the end of Q2. Tornado with the fastest time by just over 300ths of a second from Ashley. It looks like it might be a tight race for pole position then in the final part of qualifying. Bawley in P3 then a bit of a distance back to LWS Yorkie, who I don't quite think got his best time in, so expect to see him a little bit further up the timing screens at the end of qualifying. The Lapio Finn, Viking Beast, Jolo Master at the death, Dark Gopher, Hellboy and Rud McJudder scraping through, and as we've already mentioned, it is the two Mercedes and Darthray Fox CTX joining Jimmy Dog in being eliminated from the second part of qualifying. I'm trying to scramble now, see if I can get the Hungarian national anthem.
You've got to get it on, even if it's on for the outlaps. Getting the Hungarian national anthem up. If everyone here in the chat watching this qualifying session, if you can let us know your predictions for pole position today. It looks like a full dry session, so we will get to see the best of these drivers. Who do we think then is gonna take the first pole position in Division 2? Will it be Tornado, who has set the pace early on in the dry conditions, or will Viking Beast be up there come the end of the session? Let us know what you think.
Yep, as we've had another follow from Elite and I can barely read that, to be fair. I should really have
Elite
stream for that again.
Elenip, if you can let us know who you're supporting.
Yep, thank you very much for the follow. With that one, we're up to 33
it
now.
Says Jolo no. You need to be saying Jolo yes, my friend, because Jolo is into Q3 at the first time of asking. This is what he does.
He's gone for Jimmy Dog as his choice of pole position.
Simon's gone Yorkie for pole. Jimmy Dog. Didn't he get knocked out?
Jimmy Dog did get knocked out.
Jimmy Dog was out in Q2, my friend. If he gets pole, I'll be very surprised. Anyway, I'm going to take this opportunity to go for a slash. So I'll let you talk through the first few laps.
Yep, and it looks a little bit sunnier out there on tracks. Hopefully it has rubbered in a little bit. We'll see the fastest times straight away. Elite and Nips just said that he is Jimmy Dog. So he's not backing himself a pole, as he knows he's out of the session. That is Jimmy Dog, who's joined us in the chat then. Still looks a little bit overcast at the moment. Adrian then, donating £2.58 and has put the message Stinky Give 2 on there very nicely as well. Thank you for that, Adrian, for that £2. Well, he's actually put Aid Rain. I think that's in reference to his performance in the wet conditions. So thank you for that. You got this Steve McMahon, here comes the money, popping up on stream there. So thank you for that. And we're now 33 follows towards 100, ready for me to drink a nice bit of semi-skimmed out of a dusty old boot there. But it is the Lapio Finn who will start us in Q3 with the first time, closely followed by Bawley then, who in the Alpine surely has a shot at pole position today. The Lapio Finn might count himself lucky to be in Q3. He didn't think he had the pace to compete, but he has made it to the final part of qualifying. And now how high can he get up in the top 10 then? Yellow flags out towards the end of the lap. I think it's Viking Beast actually that's had a bit of a problem with his outlap then. Let's see how much that affects his first flying lap in this session. And still a driver in the pits, Hellboy then, only just making his way out onto the track. He's been running very much now out of sync with the rest of the field, hoping he doesn't get in the way. Looks like he should have some clear track, although the Alfa Romeo of Rudd McJudder then looks like he's had an issue through 1 and 2 as well. Has kept it out the wall though, so hasn't DNF just yet. We're riding on board then with the Lapio fin still coming now down the hanger straight. Let's have a quick look at what he's setting so far in terms of a lap. It's a 1:10 as he enters the Stowe corner. And it looks to have been a clean lap from him. Perhaps he just wants to get on a time on the board. We've seen drivers struggle with that. Bit of a lock up on the left front, but has made the corner, then comes around the final couple of corners, crosses the line. It's a 1:28.5 for the rest to beat. Bawley does beat that by 3/10 and a 28.2 from him. Who have we got coming up over the line next? It is Jollo Master with a 29.3, and it's actually there now on provisional pole with a 1:28.1 in the Alpha Tauri. And Eldebus Yorkie, the time's coming thick and fast. Can he snatch provisional pole away? He can. It's a 27.7 from the Ferrari driver. Dark Gopher crosses the line now. He goes P5 at 29.2 from him. And Viking Beast snatches that P5 away from Dark Gopher then. 28.9 from him. All the drivers making it round on their initial runs. And looking like we're not seeing as many drivers struggling though. Because just to say that, Rudd McJudder is backwards at Stowe once again.
Ruddy Judd is having a nightmare.
John Ruddy backwards once more.
John Ruddy couldn't catch a gold. But here we are, Rudd McJudder can't catch a spin.
Back in the pits then
anyway.
for a set of tyres now. And 7 minutes left
feedback for
of the session. Go on then, lad.
First of all, Steve McMahon.
What, sorry?
Who the bloody hell Steve McMahon?
Steve McMahon?
Yeah, it's Shane, isn't it?
Yeah, Steve.
What do you mean Steve?
It's English Steve.
And the other one,
it's the TTL version.
Is £2.58 the Euros conversion of £3?
Most likely.
Is that?
I've said it to be pounds, so.
And hasn't Adrian spelt his name wrong?
Yeah, it's got with Adrian.
It says Adrian.
Adrian.
Fair enough, lad. I think Adrian must have been taken.
He's got. You can set whatever name you want. To be fair, when you donate, so you can put anything. You can put any message in any donation you want.
Genuine. Oh right, yes, and that is the Euros conversion of it.
Yeah.
Well, I think with the combined £5.58 we've got, we can get a buttermilk chicken burger with a pint of Stella and spoons.
As Hellboy crosses the line, P9, then he did come out on the track late. There was still a driver out there, believe it or not, and it is P9 from him. Yes, Adrian, any message, any name. I think it will blank out the obvious swearing though.
Okay, well, this is time for me to donate then. If there's any message,
because
any name, here
Steve
we go.
McMahon start playing again. The English Steve.
How do I donate then? Let's figure this out.
Well, it's on the link on the bottom right. I mean, the money will go towards the website and anything we pay for the league.
I think this link
won't go on buttermilk chicken.
About.
Yeah.
It is, unfortunately, guys, it is going to go on a buttermilk chicken burger and a Stella on Saturday night. So thank you very much for the donation.
Fine, let's get back to the racing, shall we? Let's get back.
Absolutely not. There's no one on the lap. Oh, actually, Hellboy's on the lap. Here we go. 3 Maggots and Beckett's then. Starting off this section very nicely,
I think he's on an in lap. He's on an in lap. Just 2 seconds now.
He's got his DRS. Oh, 2 seconds. Anyway, we'll carry on then. So we can put the money towards a 2-pinter of semi-skim milk to go and Biddley shoey.
Yeah, that will go well.
We can put it to an actual shoe itself.
Yeah. I mean, if you get enough money, you can choose the shoe. Just don't make it a croc.
Yeah, I was about to say crocs, but they got holes in them, didn't they?
Yeah, be a bit ropey to try and drink milk out of a croc, I think. As we have got drivers and on outlaps, 4 minutes left. They have come out a little bit early, I think, but maybe just give themselves a little bit of a safety if they invalidate the first run, as we've seen from plenty of drivers tonight. Then it is Bawley who is going to be the first driver to set us a lap. The two Haas drivers coming out as well. I don't know whether they time that between them, but they're a little bit apart on track if they were going to try and orchestrate some kind of tow. But Bawley then is going to take us away on this lap. Let's see how he goes through Sector 1 then. Revengezilla, give us your best description of a Silverstone lap with Bawley.
So then, yeah, I mean, it set me up for failure by missing out on the first 4 corners of the track, but nonetheless, we'll catch him as he goes through the first sector split then, going down this is the Wellington straight, isn't it? Before I say something wrong.
It is, yeah.
It's the Wellington straight. He's 1.2 tenths down on his time, but he didn't quite catch his first lap, so we don't know where there is still time available. He is currently half a second down on Lewis Yorkie, so he's got a lot of time left to find if he wants to challenge for this pole position. He has gone a little bit earlier than everyone else, with still 3 minutes left of this session, and he gets some criminal understeer at Stowe, and that's going to cost him a little bit of time. We're not too sure whether he's going to be running a high downforce or a low downforce setup, because we did see rain earlier on, but it looks like he struggled a bit there for front downforce as he cuts the delta down to under a tenth now, so it looks like, barring any mistakes, we should see an improvement come the end of this lap. It comes down now towards the Vale chicane. Late on the brakes as you can without running too deep, as it open up the final double right-hander. Take the tight line if possible. Comes across the line, doesn't improve.
Doesn't improve.
However, have time for another lap.
He does. He's only got 40% of battery, I was just about to say, so it'd be interesting to see if those soft tyres can hold on, or whether he does back off and try and get another lap with a full tank of ERS. And there is another driver now on a fast lap as well, the Lapio Finn, just under a tenth slower through Sector 1. Has he found time in Sector 2? He has, but not enough to improve overall on his time then. So drivers now struggling to find time on these final runs. The Lapio Finn then coming around Stowe doesn't do a John Ruddy and has continued on. Now through the final couple of corners, can he keep it tight? Can he, most importantly, find time as he comes across the line now? And it is a 1:28.5, still slower than his first effort, and doesn't improve then.
Yeah, it looks like Ashley's had a little bit of a problem to start his lap as well, so if he wants to go at pole position, he's going to have to get round quickly. As he should have a
donation from Gary's bottom lip. Who says don't spend, oh my god, don't spend all this at once. £3 from Gary's bottom lip. Thank you for that. Which I'm assuming was you.
Gary's bottom lip, mate. I don't know what you're on about. Looks like we've had a few spinners. Is that Rudd? Yes, Rudd McJudder again. Johnny Rudd, Juddy Rudd. What are you doing, my friend?
So everyone's warming the tyres up at the moment down the Hanger straight. We've got
45 seconds at the end of the session. I don't know if Ruddy Judge is going to get round in time.
And LWS Yorkie struggling with grip on this outlap. He is trying to back up now as well from Asher to have another run at things. Jolly Master did get a time on the board of a 28.6. Isn't improving on this run either. Will he make the line with 20 seconds to go? That'll be interesting. The Lapia Finn into the box.
I've just seen the dirtiest esports line here from Tornado. He's gone miles wide at Stowe. He's opened up the steering and come back on the track about 30 metres later. So, and he's half a second up on his time. You dirty bastard.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see if he does take pole away from Yorkie doing this. Tornado, you naughty boy, we're going to get a slap on the wrist for you. If this was a league race, you'd be getting a last little penalty for that one. I'm sure our head steward TJ would agree as he comes and crosses the line, and it's P2. Still doesn't manage to take pole position away from LWS Yorkie, and even with his extended track limits, and it's P2 for Tornado then, and no higher, with Viking Beast unfortunately invalidating on his final run. Dark Gopher though hasn't invalidated now, coming around Stowe. Can he find some improvement to lift himself up from 8th place? Jimmy Dog says, Zilla, what lap should I pit? We'll get back to that in a moment then. Dark Gopher coming around the final corner, crosses the line.
Invalidated.
Charlo Master with the invalidation, and Doggo did
the
improve by
Magyars.
2/10 of a session. Formula One Magyar will be in uproar. LWS Yorkie is going to improve on his time that already has a pole position and crosses the line. It's a 27.4 with Ashley then not improving on his time. Jollo Master invalidating. That then is your top 10, and that is pole position for LWS Yorkie then.
Yeah, fair play to the Ferrari driver. He's left it till the death to improve on his time. He didn't need to improve, but he's just shown everyone that he still had a bit more time in the locker. Albeit controversial. Congrats to Tornado for sticking it on the front row there. We'll expect to see him put Yorkie to the test in the first opening laps. But I mean, P4 Bally is going to be a little bit disappointed with that quali session. I think he knows he had a little bit more pace than that in the tank. But we'll hope to see his race pace today, as he was unable to show it yesterday.
Yeah, definitely. And it is the second race in which we've had a Ferrari on the front for the race. And LWS Yorkie taking pole position. And as you've mentioned with Tornado in P2, it'll be an interesting race between those two drivers. Ashi has got P3 today, an improved performance on yesterday, and a good time from him as well. Bally P4, unable to back up the early pace he had in the rain. 8/10 off pole position today, but still nonetheless in P4. The Lapio, Finn and Jolly Master invalidating on that final run in 5th and 6th for Haas, locking out the 3rd row. Viking Beast in P7 for Aston Martin. Dark Gopher, Hellboy and Rudd McJudder unable to get a time on the board at the end of the
Hungarian
session.
national anthem, by the way?
I don't think he gets it now.
Well, can we get a picture of John Ruddy on the side of the screen then instead of the Twitch chat?
You want a picture of John Ruddy on the stream?
Yeah, get the Twitch chat off. Let's get a picture of John Ruddy.
Hold
John
on.
Ruddy,
I'm
if you're watching, my friend.
I'm just changing the audio settings because I think the game's a little bit loud. We'll knock it down one. What more do you want? We're down to 6.
Well, put it up to 10 if you're putting the Hungarian national anthem on.
And now we're going to try and get a picture of John Ruddy to go on stream.
I'm sure it won't be hard.
I don't want to cook up the stream now.
John Ruddy.
Yeah, but if I load anything else on my laptop while the stream's running, it goes a bit pony.
All right, okay, we'll save it for next week. John Ruddy, if you're watching, mate, I'm sorry, but we'll get a picture on for next week.
Well, no one's readied up, which is a nice.
Right then, let's play a game in the chat. How many laps will it take you've jinxed it big time.
Oh, there we go.
How many laps will it take Object Fungus to get the P1? I'm going to go 12.
Hold on, I might be able to bring up John Ruddy here. The stream's got a bit pony while I do
might
this.
be making a late appearance, bearing in mind the formation lap is starting in 10 seconds.
We've gone down to 47 frames here. I need to close whatever I'm on.
47 frames just because we need a picture of John Ruddy.
Sorry for anything else, it doesn't go very well.
Bally, just so you know, mate, you look like you are lagging, my friend.
Oh,
I'll give you the benefit of the doubt.
There we go, I think we should be back onto...
Watch the stream go down now, all because of John Ruddy.
No, we should be good. Oh. Go on, and you can talk while I'm getting John Ruddy.
Okay, well, I'm just waiting in suspense. I'm waiting to see Bold Ed just rock up on the side of the stream. Anyway, then we'll take you through the starting order and the tyre choice then. So, as predicted earlier on, we've got a couple of the Div 1 drivers choosing the hard. It's Object Fungus and Rookie Min. Drobel, the other Div 1 driver, is opting for the medium tyres. He starts in P19. The first of the Div 2 drivers then, we've got I'm Not Good and Mars Bar, who had an absolute stinker in the wet, but they are looking to improve on that poor qualifying and make some ground in the race. Tiger Gamer, Mini and CTX are 15th through to 13th. They have chosen the mediums, and then the soft. And Darth Gray, one of the 3 Division 2 drivers to select the hards. He's starting in P12. He's the highest of the 2 Mercedes drivers. Jimmy Dog just missing out on Q3, but he's going to start P11 on the softs. He is the highest of the soft runner, and he is going to look to make inroads early doors. And then the top 10, we have got the Lapio Finn in 10th on the mediums, John Ruddy in 9th, Hellboy, oh my lord, John Ruddy. Oh, you got him in the Wolves kit, you could at least got him in the Norwich kit.
No, he was the only one without a background.
Oh, okay, right. That fits nicely there, actually. Anyways, we've got Dark Gopher, Viking Beast in P6 on the hards. Jollo Master going very ambitious indeed, also on the hards. And then the top 4 all on mediums. It's Bally and Ashy on the second row, Tornado. And our pole man, Lewis Yorkie, on the front row. Adrian saying in the chat, Zilla down a Stella for the boys. I will do so if John Ruddy wins the race.
Yeah, there's LWS Yorkie then gets disqualified on the front row.
Oh, look how far away he is from his grid slot.
That is going to give Tornado a huge advantage off the line. We had a bit of a glitch yesterday with the start of the race. Hopefully we don't get another one here this evening as the final few cars at the back then line up, as you mentioned. Object and Brookie looking to go long on those hard tyres, and John Ruddy making an appearance on the screen as we get ready for 5 red lights to go out.
Oh.
And it's happened again. This isn't ideal. And there we go.
Lights on our screen.
The lights have now gone out then, and Tornado has got the jump then, with Yorkie being pushed back in his grid box due to that disqualification. 2 cars going around on both Aston Martins, taking
Viking
each
Beast.
other out. Viking Beast there. A passenger really with that collision. A 5-second penalty for Brookie Min then colliding with Dark Grey Fox. He'll have to serve that. Drobel retiring as well. Didn't take part in any of qualifying.
Drobel has lasted 2 corners in the possible 52 laps. Oh no.
So he sits there all of qualifying, waiting for the race, and he gets caught up in a collision off the start. Viking Beast as well. Unfortunately, Jimmy Dog, I think, went round, and he's somehow P9. I think he's got front wing damage, so he must have. He got caught up with a collision with his teammate, unless he's avoided some kind. He avoided damage to the front of his car somehow.
A big shout out to Jolly Ruds.
Yeah, Rudman
4 positions.
Up to P9. Let's go to that actually with the safety car out on track. Hopefully, as we've mentioned, fingers crossed, no safety car issues tonight as we had yesterday. And now I've said that, we're definitely going to get some. There's the position change. We can finally find it again. Tornado beating Yorkie off the marks. As we said, Yorkie with that disqualification on his pit box being set back a long way. It gave Tornado enough encouragement to take the lead. Then Bally, Jollo Master making a place as well. Rudman Judder, CTX up 7 off the start from 13th. Great start from him. We have a McLaren in the pit lane for repairs. Then Dark Gopher, the first one into the pits, being followed by Hellboy as well, I think, in the Red Bull. Tiger Gamer made up 4 as well, then from 15th, and the big casualty then off the start, which we saw a huge crash at turn 1. Viking Beast then, a passenger really arriving on the scene to an accident he wasn't a part of.
Yeah, quite a few drivers then benefiting from that carnage at the start. Big Hungarian Jollo Master has managed to gain positions even on the hard tyres. And this early safety car is really doing him favours, because it's going to mean that that initial gap to the front runners is going to be nullified. And it looks like we've got 4 drivers in the pit lane then. I assume all for repairs and none of them strategic. As
Jimmy Dog has just made contact with Hellboy.
Jimmy Dog is lagging everywhere.
Yeah. I'm not too sure what happened there. Hellboy, I think, was collected by Jimmy Dog, and Hellboy ended up on the grass. Jimmy Dog's carried on. Lapierre Finn dropping it onto safety car, doing the George Russell then, has managed to continue on in P10. Tiger Game and out 6 then to P9. I'm Not Good after his throttle problems up to P11, so doing well.
Come on, the Tiger
Now,
Gamer.
the
Where is he going,
AlphaTauri
though?
Tiger Gamers are all over the place as well. I wonder if they've got the Delta glitch here, because drivers do seem to be all over the place behind this safety car. Quickly in the Twitch chat, and Diamond Douchey stuck around says, "Damn." Well, I think that's one way to start the restart.
To our good friend Drobel.
Yeah. Good way to start. Tiger Game is putting some heat into those tyres. It's all over the place. Trying to walk
I'm
those
surprised
mediums.
he's not got a corner cutting penalty yet, actually, because he's been off the track on this safety car more than he's been on the track.
Yeah, definitely. Brookieman said he got a class start, but got collected by a Mercedes, which we assume was Dark Grey Fox then, which he got the penalty for. He has served that penalty now in the pits. Him and Object Fungus back into the pit lane, interestingly enough. I'm assuming they had to pit for repairs and they're looking to come back onto the hard tyres then to go a long way.
Couldn't have been that
race.
class, that start, Brookie, if you're down in 17th, mate. Yeah,
it's not the best. Brookie said he thought it was going to be over before Sector 2 had ended. I know it was Adrian that said that, sorry, but it hadn't. It has.
Interesting decisions from these guys. It looks like Object wanted to put his hard tyres back on. That's why he's come into the pits again. So it looks like everyone that has pitted for a second time, Brookie and Object, are looking to put the tyres back on that they started with. So Mars Bar and Mini also going back onto their starting tyres.
Yeah, don't worry. I haven't already said that. Don't worry.
Right, boys. Thanks for the stream. It's been a good one.
Don't worry about that. Sorry.
I'll leave you in good capable hands. I'll leave you here with Diddy and John Ruddy.
John Ruddy, yeah, still.
John Ruddy's given this stream some character. Look at him.
It's strange.
He couldn't catch a cold, bless him. Yep. If you had him in your fantasy Premier League team, don't be expecting any points.
There we go. We'll get rid of John Ruddy for now. If people follow us, they want their name to go up on screen, so we don't want John Ruddy instead.
Replace it with the Hungarian flag then.
Okay. If Jolly Master wins, we'll get the Hungarian flag up. Safety car in the slap. The Brookie is just latching on to the back of the field then within the 10 car lengths of the safety car. Does come in the end of lap 3. Mars Bar
spun it on the straight.
Is backwards at the end of the hanger straight. Will he be able to get onto the back of the field to catch them up in time? Tornado then.
Dogs in the box.
Interesting to see when he puts the throttle down here. Can he catch Yorkie napping? And he looks like he has done then. Bally though is all over the back of the Ferrari. Can he put some pressure on him down into the Wellington straight after these first couple of corners?
Oh, CTX had a look around the outside of Johnny Rudds. Into turn number 1, he had to go wide. Otherwise, sticking that move around the outside could have ended in tears. But it looks like something's happened further back, and we've got a 5-second gap between 6th and 7th. And that's going to be a bit problematic. But it looks like Tiger Gamer. Unlucky, my friend. But meanwhile, out up front, Jolly Master is just losing touch with the front guys on those hard tyres.
Yeah, down to P4 on those hard tyres, struggling to get the warm-up, it would seem, after that safety car period, falling back then into John Ruddy in P5 on the mediums, and CTX not making the impact he might have wanted to on those soft tyres yet. But we are coming towards the end of the first lap after the safety car. Of course, no DRS active until the end of lap 2 after the safety car. And as you mentioned, the big 6-second gap there is now between P6 and P7. Not too sure how that happened, but it would seem someone got caught out by that safety car restart. And there's now almost 2 separate packs running together here. And Rudd McJudder and CTX will be desperate to pass Jolly Master here to try and keep up the top 3.
Yeah, Ashley's going to have a look around the outside of Dark Goffer, then into the Vale chicane. They're going to give each other the space, and that is a great move from the AlphaTauri driver. He gets up into P8, and he's going to look to track down the Lapio Finn, hopefully together look to bridge the gap as Hellboy has a spin coming out the final corner and he manages to get going again.
Yep, he has, continues on, and the Lapio Finn then now gets the gap down slightly between him and Rudd McJudder. Took about a second and a half out there then, so this field now trying to catch up to those that are still fighting. CTX ahead of Rudd McJudder, yep, into P5. Can he now get ahead of Jolly Master, who's now 2.5 seconds back off the top three already, but the top three very much keeping toe with each other here, and it looks like a three-way fight then for the win of this race in the early stages between Tornado, LWS Yorkie and Bawley.
Yeah, the two Division 1 drivers left in this race, Object and Brookie, look to be making their way through the pack together. They're up to P10 and 11, and with DRS active, I believe, on the next lap. You expect to see these guys make their way up the field as Ashy goes round on the exit of Beckett. That gives them two another position. He gets on the track, though, fairly quickly. So not losing too much time there, Ashley, but he's going to be disappointed with that mistake. As again, he showed a lot of promise in the qualifying, but it's not quite there on race pace. And as I say, that DRS is enabled, so this will be the first chance for Lewis Yorkie to maybe have a look into Brooklands.
Yeah, we will be disappointed with that. Ashley, who then drops to 11th after his good start, and as you said, good pace in qualifying, but he'll still hope for points from there. As you mentioned then, DRS now active after that second safety car lap then. Tornado's already pulled to the left-hand side down the Wellington straight to try and avoid the tow from LWS Yorkie, and Yorkie unable to get close enough as it stands. He has got a bit more battery on board though, LWS Yorkie, so might use that to his disposal later on in the lap. Tiger Game is round again, I think, at turn 1, struggling then to cool those tyres down after his earlier spin, running down into 16th now.
Yeah, Tiger Game, as you said, he's having a little bit of trouble. I think his tyres have overheated due to a few mistakes. And I think maybe it's about time to cut his losses and make his way into the pits and maybe hope for a later safety car. Nonetheless, CTX must be starting to see the end of his soft tyres now, but he is on the back of Jollomeister, and Jollomeister is going to leave the inside line open into Stowe, and CTX is going to get the move done. He's going to run a little bit wide, and Jollomeister is going to look to run a little bit of a switchback, and he's going to go up the inside into Vale. CTX shuts the door on him. Little bit rough there from CTX, the Mercedes driver. Jollomeister, I think, is going to cut his losses and just try and hang on to the back of the Mercedes and try and gain a little bit of time as CTX goes really wide at turn number 1. But he's going to leave the Haas in his DRS then, and let's see if they can pull each other along towards the top 3.
Now he's at round 2 down the Wellington straight, then Yorkie once again can't get close enough. He was closer though down the Hanger straight. That looks like his best opportunity then into Stowe to see if he can get the move on Tornado for the lead. The yellow flag out once again. I think it's I'm not good this time, and he was another driver that had a strong start, but looks like he's had a problem now as well on lap 7 of this race, just over a quarter distance in. Then Jimmy Dog's now backwards at turn 1. Drivers struggling on those hard tyres then to make them work. And now you can see through Maggots and Beckett's then just how Yorkie is able to follow Tornado then. And as I mentioned, he's got a bit more battery than the Alpine driver. Let's see if he can get close enough here down the Wellington straight then. And will he make a move up the inside? Looks like he's going to get the move done before Stowe this time around, and does take the lead of this race away from Tornado. But can he fight back here into the final couple of corners? Not quite. The Williams will have to settle for second place for now then.
Yeah, I don't think Tornado's too worried early on about losing that position. He's going to use this as an opportunity to save a bit of the battery now in behind Lewis Yorkie. Jollomeister did just manage to get past CTX then into Stowe, and CTX straight away decides enough is enough, and he is in the pit lane putting on the hard compound tyres, and he's going to look to go 18 laps on those, just like he did similarly last night. He made the hards last and he just missed out on a podium, so let's see what he can do on his hard stint tonight.
Yeah, it was really the podiums that got the better of CTX. Podiums, I should say. Penalties got the better of CTX yesterday he has already picked one up here, quarter of the way through. He'll have to try and avoid getting many more of those if we have a late safety car. But as you said, hard tyres now till the end of the race. He'll be hoping to take those another 18 laps. And interestingly enough, Object Fungus now up to 6th place in on the hard tyres, just set the fastest lap of the race, quicker than our leader LWS Yorkie on the mediums. And he has left Brookiemin a couple of seconds behind now, but both Tier 1 drivers doing well here from the back of the grid, taking advantage of that early safety car, and both now running high up in the points.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Tornado's using the opportunity to recharge his batteries, trying to put the pressure on Yorkie, as both having to use a bit of battery there. One to defend and one on the attempt for an attack. And it looks like Orley is the one that's just happy to sit and bide his time. He's going to wait to see what unfolds between these top guys, as Object did get past the Lapio Finn then into Stowe, and that is up to 5th place. I did say lap 12 to get to P1, but I think with a nearly 10-second gap to the front three, it's going to be a little while before we see the Ferrari driver up at the front.
Yeah, definitely then in P5 at the moment. Object Fungus just passing Lapio finish. You said, when do you think we could see these medium tyre runners into the pits now then to swap over to the hard tyres to go till the end, or do you think they'll try and eke out the mediums into the softs?
Oh, as we may see a safety car as Marsbar gets collected by Tiger Gamer on the exit of Beckett. It looks like a virtual safety car.
Yeah, I think it's just a virtual. There's no safety car out on track at the moment.
Yeah,
unfortunately, we still can't see.
Spin. Yeah,
see yellow flags.
Spin at the exit of Beckett's, and Tiger Gamer didn't really have anywhere to go. I'm not sure if it is a virtual safety car. It looks like.
Well, there's no yellow dot on the track.
It must be Tornado's 2.9 seconds down on his fastest time.
Yeah. Yorkie's still putting his foot to the floor then. No yellow dot on the track. We can't see, obviously, I just said. Oh, as Mini then gets the drive through with that virtual safety. I think a few drivers might have picked one up there. Let's have a look at the penalties. No, it is just Mini then.
Like Yorkie has judged that virtual safety car perfectly. He's managed to pull an 8/10 gap to Tornado, and Tornado had to burn a little bit of battery to try and get that gap down, and in doing so, just goes over the curve at turn number 1, and he's got a 3-second time penalty. So now Yorkie is the only of the top 3 not to have a penalty.
Yeah, that could be crucial come the end of the race, of course, with late safety cars, and those 3-second penalties, as we saw yesterday, could be the difference, literally, between finishing on the podium or finishing down in somewhere like 5th or 6th then. So he'll be keen to avoid those penalties for a little while longer. Yellow flag out in sector 1, whatever car it was, has managed to get going again, and we're not looking for any other safety car or virtual safety car. Then we're on lap 10 now of this 26 lap Division 2 social race. It's still LWS Yorkie leading the way then. He did have pole position, was passed by Tornado, but has retaken the lead from the Williams driver then. The top 3 separated by about a second now then. Jollo Masters dropped off even further now in P4, down 9.2 seconds, but is on the hard tyre, so looking to go longer than those out in front. And Object Fungus and Brookiemin making their way through the field as well. 5th and 7th at the moment, those drivers starting on the back row.
Yeah, it looks like Tornado is struggling to get close to Yorkie without burning some battery. Yorkie managed to charge a lot more on that lap than Tornado. But we'll wait to see, as they will be approaching the pit window. I know the pit window for the mediums is going to be roughly 12 or 13, but they could see an undercut as early as this lap. So it'll be interesting to see what potentially Bally could do to try and upset the rhythm of these front 2. If I were Bally, I'd like to see an undercut here to see if he can gain some track position that way, because it's going to be difficult to overtake either of these 2 drivers while they're sort of playing around with the DRS.
Do you get the feeling that Bally has got the pace to keep up with the top 2, or do you think he's just able to hold on because he's still keeping it within that DRS zone?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, really. We're yet to see him, dump a load of battery after Maggots and Beckett's with the DRS. So I think it would be silly for him to do so, as he's not likely to make a move stick into Stowe, being that the driver in front will have the DRS. So I think it's all going to be down to strategy here for Bally, and if not, pray for one of the front two to make a mistake.
Yeah, definitely then, as Object Fungus just close right up to the back of Jollo Master now then, down the hanger straight, gets the move done before he gets to Stowe, as we've seen so many times, that DRS so powerful, down there and up into P4 now, and needs to try and close the gap to the top three, and then his aim is still to win this race. He's got 10.5 seconds to make up then in the next 15 laps or so.
And almost in tandem, Brookie makes the move then on Lapio Finn to go up to P6. And similar to CTX, he gets overtaken into Stowe, and he decides enough is enough, he's into the box.
Yeah, interesting to see then what the Lapio Finn chooses to go on. We assume it'll be the hard tyres now till the end of the race. Good showing though from the two Haas drivers so far, 5th and 7th now. I wonder where this will put him when he comes back out. I'm assuming he should be, if I look at the track map, somewhere around CTX and Mini.
Bidley. He might have a look here into Cops.
Well, let's see if he puts a wheel up the inside of Cops. You don't do that here.
Yeah, Yorkie's burnt a load of battery there on the old pit straight because he did not want to go side by side through there, and it looks like Borley is also just edging closer to the front two. Tornado is the closest he's been in a good 6 or 7 laps, so it'd be interesting to see whether he looks to overtake here as we are approaching the pit window. Do any of these top guys decide to pit, Bidley? What do we think?
It'll be interesting. The Lapio Finn did come out in between CTX and Mini, and he has pulled out a slight gap on Mini, and they're all coming into the pits then. So this will be interesting to see who gets it right on pressing the magic button to turn you into the pit box. Of course, you gain a slight bit of time.
I've called it. I said Object Fungus was going to be P1 on lap 12. Technically, it will be lap 13.
Well, you haven't called it then, have you? You haven't called it at all.
And he takes the lead on lap 12 plus 1.
Yeah, and all the drivers are correctly putting the hard tyres on. It would have been interesting if they put on the softs, and no change in order. It is still LWS Yorkie, Tornado and Borley as the top three re-emerge then, and they will come out 4th, 5th and 6th then, with Object Fungus, Jollo Master and Brookie Min all getting ahead of them.
Yeah, so very satisfying to see on the left-hand side of the screen. Every driver on the hard tyres. I think you've just got the penalties up in a minute, Bidley, but you switch to the tyre graphic, every single driver.
There we go. Look at that.
Tiger Gamer is going to have to get out of the way pretty quick.
You know, LWS Yorkie cruising up to the back mark then in P17. He's under no obligation to get out of the way just
please get out of the way.
But he has gone wide. Tornado dived up the inside, as we saw there, on board with Yorkie, sent it into the corner way too quickly and way too deep. And he has fallen back behind LWS Yorkie then, now who retakes the net lead of this race. Tornado weaving in a straight line to try and get some temperature, I should say, into the tyres. Tiger Game in the background, as you can see there, has now spun. So he's backwards, Corp style then, after causing that little bit of drama between the top three. But they are back as they were after Tornado's failed overtake them.
Yeah. Further back, a little bit of a battle going on between the Lapio Finn and ETL Mini. Lapio Finn has just come out on the fresh hard tyres, and they're going to be nicely up to temperature now. Mini is flashing on his ERS, and it looks like he's going to go defensive then into Stowe as a quick sweep to the right-hand side. The Lapio Finn's going to look around the outside. It looks like maybe he's going to get close enough into the Vale chicane. He's not going to dive it. He's going to look to go around the outside. Well defended though from Mini. Interesting to see that he's defending this position when he's on such older tyres. And this is going to be really frustrating for the Haas driver, getting stuck behind. Meanwhile, up front, we have got Brookie on the back of the other Haas driver, then Jollo Master. And expect to see him put a move potentially this lap, because he has got a 4-second gap now to Object Fungus that he needs to bridge.
And the Hungarian legend in P2 is Jimmy Dog then has dropped it And it
Oh,
is
the
a safety
car
car.
is out. Object Fungus has blagged it.
Yep, and he is now approaching the pit lane, and so surely we're coming. Oh, they've got their Delta glitch. Everyone having to slow right down, and oh, as Hellboy gets a penalty for that Delta. The drive through their object into the pits as we expected. We had the safety car earlier and it all ran fine, but the second one in there looks like it's caused a problem once again. And the top three all into the pits, and Object, Jolly Master, and Brookie surely for the medium tyres till the end.
Yeah, and it looks like Object Fungus is gonna take the lead of the race.
Yeah, we've got Yorkie coming around the final corner now. He's putting his foot down to try and beat Object. I think he's got a Delta though to the line, pushing. I think he'll just beat Object then out of the pits. I think all three of them might get ahead of the Ferrari driver. Actually, just about. There you have it. Object down to fourth.
Now then,
But
this
on
is going to
fresh
be very
mediums,
interesting.
yep.
Can Object Fungus then, with the front three being so close throughout this race fiddle, we've got Object Fungus who is on the softer compound, but the hard tyres on the front three are not exactly old, and we know they're a better race tyre. So is Object Fungus going to have the pace to get past the front three?
He should do. He should do, considering he's got a tyre advantage as well. I was just replying to something there. Yeah, he should do.
Oh, well.
I would
Good to
imagine.
see we've got your attention.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully none of these drivers suffer what we had yesterday, and they could all close up quickly. Hellboy with a drive-through and speeding in the pit lane, and is he going to retire from the session? Doesn't look like it for now. I don't think he can serve his drive-through under the safety car. So
He might be attempting to currently.
yeah,
But it's not going to work for him. Maybe this is a designated pit stop. We're going on to 5 lap whole mediums.
yeah, with just about 11.5 laps to go now till the end of the race, and let's get John Ruddy back on the stream for
No,
Jolly
I think we
Master.
need to get someone else on. I reckon we get Robert Huth on.
Over here from it's too much effort, I'll be honest.
Alright, okay, John Ruddy will do. Currently, with the safety, I mean, I'm hoping this safety car, we don't end up with a 5-second gap between 6th and 7th on the restart. Because that means that, Ruddy McJuds is going to have a chance of making up a few positions once penalties are applied.
Yeah, they all seem to be getting around quite well at the moment then. There is still a gap, as you mentioned, at the moment. Darth Grey Fox just getting onto the back of the main pack now then. So we have seen some fantastic driving, though, it should be said tonight, between the top three, Yorkie, Tornado and Bawley. The fighting we've seen and the clean driving as well from those drivers, fantastic. But now they're going to have a different animal behind them in Object Fungus and Brookie Mint. As we know, the only 2 Tier 1 drivers left in the race. And it'll be very interesting now, as I think they'll have about 10 laps or so when the safety car comes in to do some damage on those medium tyres. Can they get onto the top step of that podium in that amount of time? We shall see.
Yeah, expect to see the safety car maybe come in. We've got where is Tiger Gamer?
Oh,
okay, so Ruddy McJuds has just hit the back of his teammate.
yes. That's not gone well. With McJudder then. I'll take John Ruddy off the screen. It's not gone well.
Out of respect, I think we need to take John Ruddy off the screen.
I think it is something to do with the safety
Tiger
car.
Gamer's just taken someone else out. Tiger Gamer has just taken CTX out.
He's got no front wing either.
He's just driven straight into the back of CTX.
Is that his AI? What is going on with Tiger Gamer here? Looks like he's having some issues at the moment. P16 with front wing damage now. So yeah, I can't imagine CTX would be too happy about that one.
Yeah, just in the Discord, doesn't seem best pleased. I think our thoughts go out to CTX because that is that's not nice.
Yeah. He's coming to the pit lane. I'm assuming to repair the front wing that he's got from taking out CTX there.
Hmm.
Well, that's what we call a
Yeah,
savoury note.
yeah. Let's give a 10-second silence to
He
CTX and Roddy
was he
McJudd.
was AI, yeah. So with this glitch, because I think
Oh, Tiger Gamer's AI.
he was AI. I think with this game they tried to code it so that lapped cars could overtake. So I think if you pause while you're a lapped car behind the safety car, I did it to me the other day. It tries to overtake everyone. So yeah,
He just spun coming straight out of the pits.
yeah. If you're on AI, it will just basically force you through the field, no matter what. Which is clearly what's happened there with Tiger Gamer. So if we could just not, if we could just not press pause, please, while you're on AI, that would be great.
Yeah, we'll have to have I think before the season starts next week about safety cars because at the minute Codemasters just do not seem to want to fix the safety car period and the glitches that come with it. But yeah, that'll be for us to decide before next week. The safety car is in this lap. Tiger Gamer, I believe, is still going to be a lap down.
Yeah. Let's hope he's not pressed pause, otherwise he's going to become a complete
Anyway,
wrecking ball here.
we do have a. Oh, I'm going to keep on board with it. Yeah, okay, he looks like he's slowed down. Nice. Anyway, we do have a really intriguing battle up front then. It looks like it's going to be a battle between Yorkie and Object Fungus as they are the two without a penalty. But do not count out Brookie Min. And let's see what Object can do in terms of getting past Bally and Tornado.
Yeah, as Yorkie is going to lead his way for the safety car, then does choose to leave it late, trying to catch out Tornado, but he hasn't managed to do so. Tornado is still running with him, but there is a three-way fight then down into turn one. Object Fungus looking to got the inside of Baldy, then backs out of the move and sits back behind the Alpine driver, but already looking to make up places on that restart then, but has to feed back in for now then. But unlike that, Brookieman has just passed Jollo Master then for P5 and looking to come through with Brookie now then. No DRS of course on this lap, but plenty of ERS in use down the Wellington straight, and there is no moves then into Brooklands, and they have continued then. Top three, LWS Yorkie, Tornado and Bally for now.
Yep, it is Linus Stern, and it looks like Brookie's going to put on a little bit of battery, and it's going to force Object to use a bit of battery and put Bally under pressure. And Bally is going to have to decide pretty early on in this stint whether he's going to defend or whether he is going to try and push forward to match the pace of the front two. Earlier, it looks like Yorkie is really pushing on this safety car restart. Object Fungus is going to burn half of his battery and he's going to have a look at the inside, but he's going to decide against it.
Yeah, and he still can't get past
Oh,
an
here he
Alpine
comes.
without the DRS. So into the final corner though, there goes Object Fungus. Puts it up the inside and he spun. He spun around. Bit of contact between the two drivers there as he was making the move up the inside. He has continued on there, but he's down to 12th place at the back of the field now. And with only 8 laps to go to the end of the race, that's surely his chance of a podium completely gone.
I'm not sure if there was contact there. I know Bally's car was lagging just slightly. It didn't look to me like there was contact, and that's a rare mistake from Object Fungus, and he's got a lot of work to do then to get up into the top points paying positions.
And just as he spun round, actually, PAFC Yorkie, I should say, in the Twitch chat saying, "Come on, Fungus," and then moments later saying, "Gutted," but here comes Brookiemin, looking like he's got a run on Bally here, coming down into Cop's corner. Will he stick it to the inside? You don't do that here, and neither does Brookie as he's stuck behind. Bally then coming up now to Maggot and Beckett. Can he keep it close and through this complex of corners and get a run then down the hanger straight? He still won't have that DRS assistance, even though Bally now out of a second from the top two, but he might not need it anyway. Here comes Brookiemin then looking to go round the outside then on the hanger straight, gets the move done before Stowe and up into third place now then Zilla. We've got 7 laps to go when Yorkie takes us over the line now. The top 3 on different tyres, Tornado carrying a penalty as well, as we've got I'm Not Good round at Stowe. Out of these top 3, who do you think is going to take the win today?
Yeah, it's difficult to say, isn't it? I think if Brookie has a chance of winning this race, he needs to make his moves early on. The medium tyres do not last forever, and they're already 6 laps old, and I think they're at their best around 6 to 8 laps. So if we're going to see Brookie make a claim to win this race, it's going to be in the next couple of laps, Biddle.
Yeah, definitely. I can't agree more with that then. Of course, the hard tyres will, as you said, only get favourable towards the front too as Brookie starts to burn through those mediums. Everybody has got the gap down now to under a second, so we'll get the play of the DRS, but so will Tornado. Can he find a way to get past Yorkie? Let's have a quick look at the penalties at the moment then. 3 seconds for Tornado, 6 for Bally, and we've got Tiger Gamer in the chat saying, "I'm the noobiest of the session." Okay. Thanks for that, Tiger
Gamer, mate. I'm going to DM you on Discord.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So have a look out for
that. As we continue on then, and it is still Yorkie then, and in the lead of the race at the end of lap 20. And we'll have 6 to go now as he crosses the line. Bally, though, getting back into contention here. Looks like there's a bit of a train forming behind Yorkie here. The top 6 then separated at the moment by just over 3.5 seconds into the gap. Very close at the moment as Brookiemin takes the fastest lap, and immediately it is taken back by Object Fungus then. Not that it means anything, because we've not got championship standings, of course, for this social race, but it might just be a nice token for a driver to take away. But it's still Yorkie in the lead then, and is Tornado going to get close enough this time down the Wellington straight? Doesn't look like he can again. He has used more battery as well than Yorkie. In fact, all the top 6 really burning through their batteries here. And, well, surely now it is just going to come down to that tyre degradation, as you said, Zilla.
Yeah, looks like Brookie is really turning up the heat on the front too, and it's causing Tornado to put the pressure also on Yorkie, and I think this is, again, the closest we've seen Tornado to Yorkie at the front, as we've got a DNF in the pit lane from I'm Not Good. That's his race over, but it looks like Tornado is just 2 tenths back now, Biddle.
Yeah, Tornado now with just, as you mentioned, a couple of tenths back with the DRS and the ERS, but Yorkie having to use his to defend, and that Williams cannot get close enough to the back of the Ferrari to make a move. Yorkie still able to defend at the moment. Brookie, interestingly enough, just dropping outside that 1 second window to the top 2 then. So are his medium tyres already struggling? He's only been on them about 7 or 8 laps, but he is now finding it difficult to keep up with the front 2.
Yeah, Tornado, oh my lord, as I'm Not Good car comes out the pits then. And that was very interesting indeed. And the front 3 had to quickly manoeuvre out of the way, and it looks like, Biddle, that Bally is not quite finished in this battle. He's managed to pull himself back into the DRS, and further back, John O'Master and Lapio are really, really close to also making this a 6-man DRS train for the win. Albeit 3 of the 6 do have penalties. It'll be interesting to see in the next couple of laps whether those 2 Haas drivers can bridge the gap. And Brookie again for the next lap is closer once again. He's got the gap down to 4 tenths. He's going to struggle to make an overtake. on his Williams teammate. If he's still in the DRS. Now, once again, light flashing for the top 3 drivers. Tornado's going to turn on the battery and he's going to have a look into Stowe.
He just can't quite get close enough, can he? He's always a couple of tenths back by the time he gets to the end of that straight, and it's not enough to look at the inside of the Ferrari. He does need to do it sometime soon, because as you mentioned, that penalty is going to drop him behind Brookie as it stands into P3. So if he wants any chance of taking the win today, he does need to clear this Ferrari as quickly as he can. But I think they've all been really evenly matched for race pace, really. So I can't even see him, if he gets ahead of the Ferrari, pulling that gap out.
Yeah, I think it's been really, really nip and tuck between Yorkie and Tornado this race. They have matched each other throughout, and it'd be interesting to see with 4 laps to go now whether either of them have left any pace in the locker, or whether this is them giving 100%. If I know these 2 drivers, I know that more than likely they are giving 100%.
Yeah, Bawley's now dropped out of the DRS then on Brookie, so it looks like his tyres might have just given up on him, and he is now starting to fall out of this top 3 battle then. Let's see if he can find some resurgence in pace from somewhere to try and get a spot on that podium. It will be difficult though, as you can see, he has got those penalties at the moment. They are about to come up to a Tiger Gamer who has crashed at the end of Beckett's then. Where's his car? And I think it's carried on, actually.
Oh, it's a retire on track.
It's a retire on track, and it has pulled over to the side, very thankfully. But yeah, an interesting race from Tiger Gamer.
What a debut, what a debut. Honestly, the fans will remember that one.
Yeah, that might go down in folklore in TTL then.
Tiger Gamer, if you can send us a selfie, mate, we will put your face on stream. This Tornado gets a massive snap of oversteer then. And that's going to leave him vulnerable to Brookie.
Can Brookie now get a move to not Tornado? I'd like Brookie to get ahead of Tornado here, so I can, we could really see if Brookie can have a go at getting ahead of LWS Yorkie then to try and get the win here. Of course, these 2 really are the ones battling for the win, with Tornado carrying that penalty. Here goes Brookie then, got a good run then on the start of the Wellington straight, and he is round the outside of Tornado and does get ahead of his teammate. And now for the last 2.5 laps, we are going to see whether Brookie can get close to that Ferrari where Tornado failed.
Yeah, it looks like Tornado didn't want to fight that one too hard. He knows he's got that penalty, and with Brookie being his teammate tonight, I think is nice of him to just let Brookie go and see if he can tag on the end. But it looks like Yorkie have just turned up the pace a tiny bit. He's bridged that gap to nearly 0.8 of a second now, but he gets a little bit wide on the exit of Beckett's, and Brookie's getting 3 tenths through there. And he's going to burn all of his battery.
Yeah, and Yorkie will stay in the lead for another lap though. Brookie throwing it into Stowe, doesn't hit the apex, carries the speed though, but he has lost about 3 tenths also there too for the Ferrari. Of course, it all counts at this later stage, but great showing then from both Williams drivers and both Haas drivers. Just as I say that, Object Fungus gets ahead then of Jollo Master and has recovered to P6. But without that spin today, Zilla, do you think we could have seen Object Fungus in the lead of this race at this point?
Yeah, I think there's a very good chance. Him and Brookie were making their way through the pack, and it looked like on those fresh medium tyres, Object Fungus did have the pace. But it's not to take anything away from Yorkie. He's driven a near perfect race so far, and with 2 laps to go, if he can keep it clean, he'll certainly going to make this one difficult for Brookie.
Yeah, he took the pole position. He pretty much has led from start to finish, despite losing the lead to Tornado for a few laps at the start, but got straight back ahead of the Williams and has led ever since, really, and has not really put a foot wrong, as you mentioned. No penalties either for the Ferrari driver. But now, with a lap and a half to go, can he keep it ahead of Brookie, who's surely now feeling the effects of the wear on that medium set of tyres? And Yorkie might have a tyre advantage here. 8 tenths the gap is up to now, coming down the hanger straight for the second to last time then. And Yorkie is going to lead us onto the final lap of this race. And what kind of advantage will he have over those drivers behind him? Mini picking up another 3-second time penalties. You can see there on the left-hand side of the screen, the penalties now for the drivers. Tornado with 3 seconds. He will still finish third place, I think. With that, Bawley will drop behind Object Fungus and the Lapio Finn, who's drove a great race as well to keep it out of the penalties. And then Jolly Master, Ashy, Dark Gopher, Darth, Grey, Fox, Mini, and Hellboy all picking up some form of penalty, as you can see there. But this is the fight on track at the moment, as I think it's Dark Gopher that's had the issue off the final corner, but has continued on. And here they come then down the Wellington straight for one last time. Brookie just doesn't look close enough. And will he have any more overtaking opportunities, do you think, for the rest of this lap now to get ahead of Yorkie?
It looks like Fungus has recovered really nicely. Indeed, he's managed to get past both of the Haas drivers, and I think he's in contention to potentially sneak a podium. If he can have an excellent last lap, he might sneak a podium on penalties. Yorkie having a slightly odd line there through Stowe, but it looks like he has a good Maggots and Beckett. He's going to have just enough left in the tank to keep Brookie at bay. Brookie only 5% ERS left. It doesn't look like he's going to be close enough. So Lewis Yorkie then going to come round the final sector. He's had an answer for everything today, Biddle. He's had an answer for Tornado. Both of them kept Bally behind. He's kept it penalty free. And at the end, he's had an answer for both of the medium runners. And he's going to come across the line to take the win then.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic drive from LWS Yorkie, as you said then. P1 for him, P2 for Brookie, and as you mentioned, a sneak onto the podium from Object Fungus, a blistering final lap. What a recovery from that spin, which put him all the way down, I think in 10th place at one stage, back to third and on the podium. Then Tornado misses out by a 10th, as you said, down to fourth. Great race from him, though. Great fighting between him, Yorkie, and Bally earlier on in the race. The Lapio Finn, great debut for him in TTL. Solid drive, penalty free. Takes home 5th place then. And we'll see the game's driver of the day, the second, but we'll get shortly on to who you think was driver of the day today. Revenge Zilla, and the game's given to Object Fungus. We'll see if you agree with that very shortly, as I said. And we'll have a look at the podium ceremony, of course, topped by the Ferrari driver LWS Yorkie, who gets the Social Race Division 2 win then. Joining him, of course, as I've already mentioned, Brookie Min, and a great recovery drive from Object Fungus. As you see him lift the trophy there, he'll be hoping to follow that up as we go into the main season next week. Of course, in Division 2, should he be in Division 2, of course, he might have done enough to stake a claim for a Division 1 drive, but we'll see come the placements this weekend. And here then is the full classification. So I've already run through the top 6, top 7, 7th place I should say. Jolly Master then, Jolly Master from, what was it, Formula Magyar? Whatever. We're butchering that one so much.
Big up the Hungary.
Big up Hungary, then we'll get the national anthem out next time, just for you. Ashy then, P8, had plenty of pace today, plenty of promise, and he might have expected to do a little bit better, but instant field race from him means he finishes P8. Dark Gopher and Darth Grey Fox rounding off the top 10. It's Mini in P11. Bit of a better race for him than yesterday, but still not inside the points, unfortunately. Hellboy P12. Tiger Gamer had a very instant field race. P13 from him. And then the non-finishers, I'm Not Good, CTX, Rud McJudder, Jimmy Dog, Mars Bars, Viking Beast, and Drobel, who we saw have that instant at turn 1. Unfortunately then. And there's one more thing left to do on this stream, of course, as I mentioned, Revenge Zilla then. You've watched the race, you've watched qualifying, and now it's your pick for driver of the day, of course.
Well, thank you. I think we saw a couple of drivers from Division 1 come from the back, and impressive as that is, you know, that's what we expect from them. So with that in mind, I think he drove a near perfect race today. He got pole, he fended off the other two drivers at the front, and he's come away penalty free and won the race. So I'm going to give it to Lewis Yorkie today.
This so everyone can hear me. There we go. Yes, so great pick there from you, Revengula. I agree with you on that one. Yorkie, great race from you. Very deserving of driver of the day. But that is all we've got time for tonight then. That was our second social race. And as you can see on screen right now, this is what's coming up then on To The Limit Racing. We've got the driver draw next up. That's the stream this Sunday at 7 p.m. UK time. So be sure to tune in then, of course, on this Twitch channel where the 40 full-time drivers will be finding out then what cars they'll be driving for the inaugural season of TTL. But in the meantime, of course, there's still action going on. We've got partners with a couple of leads, of course. The URC, they're racing their round 9 this Friday as well. 7:30 UK time, that's round 9 of their season 3 in Austria. So you can watch that live on twitch.tv/the URC. And then our partners over at Fair Play Racing League have got action on Wednesday, Thursday and Friday this week. If you wanted to pop over to their Twitch channel, it's twitch.tv/FP Racing League. And that is round 8 of their season 4. And we're going to get 3 interesting races around Baku, so be sure to check them out as well. But as I mentioned, that's all we've got time for tonight. Thank you for joining me, Revengula, this evening. And we were treated to a great race. I hope you found that as well.
Yeah, I think that was an excellent race and a really good taster of what's to come this season.
Yep, I couldn't agree with you more. As I mentioned, the season 1 gets underway next Monday, our first race then, but be sure to tune in for the driver draw this Sunday then. But until next time, we'll see you then.